Hi, we're here today with Leonie Kearney at her wonderful garden called Rosevale Homestead Country Garden, just north of Brisbane. It has a beautiful array of heritage roses, and we're going to have a little bit of a chat about where her passion started for roses and some of the great tips that we can get here in southeast Queensland for having success ourselves. Welcome to Blooming in Brisbane, Leonie.
Thank you, Claire.
Where did this amazing passion for growing roses start with you?
Well, I've loved gardening, Claire, since I was a child. I've just gardened always, and roses have always featured in those gardens, and it's taken me a number of years to learn the type of roses that do well in Queensland, and I think I've found them, and they're heritage old-fashioned roses.
Okay, and so I can see by having a walk around the garden there's an amazing array of different varieties. What is so good about growing heritage roses, especially in subtropical climates?
Well, they'll never be like they are down south, Claire. They're just fantastic down there, and we have to just lower our standards a tad in Queensland. But we can grow beautiful roses, and they will be lovely garden plants if you grow the old-fashioned types. They're taller plants, they're more much more foliage on them, so they're a better plant in your garden. They're a different idea.
Yeah, so they're more of a shrub, aren't they? They're not going to be so much like the hybrid teas where they're kind of a bit
straight
more
up,
upright.
No, that's right.
Stick
They're
like.
a lovely big dense canopy, and then there are beautiful smaller ones like polyanthus that you can grow underneath. Okay. So you can have both worlds. You can have three worlds with climbers up above.
Okay, and so the idea is that you can class them as a shrubbery plant as well.
That's
They're
right.
not just
a
you
landscape
don't have to have a
plant.
rose garden. What other really great attributes do heritage roses have here?
The other great attribute is that you don't have to spray them.
That's right.
They are just not affected by black spot and the other problems that affect the hybrid teas. So you can safely have a garden with children, with bees, with everything you'd love, and no spraying.
Without having a spraying program,
That's
which
right.
a lot of people struggle with some of the other types of roses.
Yes.
That's great. Okay, now, Leonie, this is a really hard question for you to answer probably, but if you could tell me what are some of the specific varieties that you just have to have in your garden, they're your favourites, and if you only could have one variety, is there one specific one that you could choose to have?
Claire, that's a very hard question. That's like asking about my favourite children, but the tea rose family are the most wonderful roses for Brisbane and southeast Queensland. And there are others, but the teas are fantastic. And this is a tea rose called the Duchess de Brabant.
It's beautiful,
It is absolutely the most gorgeous rose. And if you only grow one rose in Brisbane, I
that's the one.
Promise, grow this one.
Duchess de Brabant.
Duchess
and it's
de Brabant. Pink, cupped, soft, beautiful, a gentle perfume. It'll have flowers on in your garden for 300 days of the year.
Wow.
And that's something that's pretty good. You can pick some flowers. I've got a couple of other. This one here, this little blossom type one, is another absolutely stunning little performer. It's what I call my unnamed single pink, and it grows about a metre high, and it never stops flowering. And as you can see, if you combine the two, it's just an absolute picture, and they're a joy.
You wouldn't even realise they're in the same family in a way, would you, with the different flower form?
No, they're just
so
lovely.
What else have you got here?
I've got here, this is one other one that is a stunning rose. If you've got a fence or something, this lovely rose is a German rose called Garten Director Otto Linn, and it is one of the most healthy roses, the most healthy foliage, and it just grows just again like a shrub, and it'll arch up and over and carry large sprays of these beautiful flowers. At Christmas time, when you know how hard it is to have flowers at Christmas time, you'll go out and find that covered in flowers that you can pick for your house.
And ongoing care, so once you've planted your roses, do you have a fertiliser regime in place?
I do, and generally it's about 3 times a year I will fertilise, and generally alternating between different fertilisers. So we might even use horse manure one time. The second time, getting towards spring, we might use a fertiliser with trace elements, because I think trace elements are important, perhaps just once a year, and then coming back into summer, then again back to your chicken pelleted manures. They're always really good. And always keep your roses dead-headed if you can, because as you deadhead your old-fashioned roses, you are pruning and you're getting new shoots. This little one here just shoots away the whole time. New shoots come from under the old flowers, so if you keep them deadheaded, you've got a lovely lot of new flowers coming on all the time.
Now you also have a small nursery as well to sort of keep up local supply for people. You're a member of the Heritage Rose Society, and so do you find that there's a big demand for
There's a huge demand for them. People find me and they're just so overjoyed, and they come and see them in the garden. They say, I'll have that, that and that. And I grow them on their own roots. They're not mine are not grafted. And in America they've been doing trials on this, and they've found that they're really a wonderful plant when they're on their own roots. And of course, when they first came to Australia, they were brought by our early settlers, put in inhospitable places, and then they were shared amongst all the lonely women. They didn't have grafting, they had to take cuttings and so they are the ones that are surviving around the homesteads and things that we've found, which is so lovely because they're
acclimatised.
They're tenacious. Yes.
All right, so starting out, say if you are talking to somebody, or maybe a new gardener that's decided they'd like to grow roses, or maybe even a seasoned rose grower, is there any, a couple of top tips that you just really, strongly recommend that people adhere to when they're growing roses?
My top tips are choose the right plants. Choose a rose for the size you've got. The first time people ask me for a rose, I say, well, have you got a big space or a small space, or do you want it in a pot? That's the most important. Don't get a great big rose if you've only got a metre of area. Get the right rose and prepare your soil correctly, and you'll have untold joy with that rose bush. It'll last you for years and years and years.